Hi everyone, Stepan here. Game 60, last 8 games were 7 wins and a draw. Let's continue the streak. I want to cross 2300 again. So yesterday's game was a relatively easy semi-slav in the Meran, where I think my opponent made a mistake and I played a perfect game. Almost, 2 inaccuracies. Let's try to do the same again. My opponent is Demon. Wow, his rapid rating is actually much worse than his blitz and bullet, so I'm guessing he doesn't play that much rapid. Let's hope my opponent plays quickly and makes mistakes that way. Okay, Gurgenidze or Karpov? Gurgenidze or Karpov? I don't know. Let's play the Karpov. So recently I've been experimenting with the Gurgenidze, but I'm gonna be saving it for my tournament games. I really like that setup for surprising people. Let's see what my opponent does here. I mean, there are several ways to play. Knight g5, bishop d3, and bishop c4 are the most common moves, with the same idea of putting pressure on f7 and on the king's side. I think bishop d3 is the most annoying move to face. Although there's also knight f3, knight gf6, knight takes, knight e5. That could be quite annoying. So yeah, my opponent goes for that. Let's see if they play knight e5. Now, if white takes and does not play knight e5, then black is equal. Also, if white plays bishop d3, then I take, bishop takes, knight f6, bishop d3, bishop g4, and black is again equal with easy development. The main problem in the Karpov is developing the slide squared bishop. So yeah, now knight e5 is the move, and I'm gonna play bishop e6. That's the standard way to play. Bishop d3 is... I cannot really call it an inaccuracy because the position would be equal, but it doesn't play for an advantage, since I get to play bishop g4. So we will see. If my opponent plays bishop c4, I don't have bishop g4 because of bishop f7, king f7, knight e5, winning back the piece and the game. And again, I'm gonna try to play quickly. That's something I've decided about 5 or 6 games ago. I'm gonna try to play quickly whenever I know what to do. I kept losing a bunch of games in time trouble, so I'm gonna try to avoid that. Knight e5 is the critical move. Knight e5 is the move that... well, the only challenging move, I want to say. On bishop c4, I go bishop f5, avoiding bishop f7 and preparing e6, so that's not a big deal. Bishop d3 just transposes to the same line I'd mentioned already with bishop g4. What else? Bishop g5, I don't think I've ever faced that. I don't think I'm afraid of white taking on f6. So we will see. I don't know what it's like where you are at, but it's so cold in Croatia. Everything is foggy and all the rooftops are frozen. Also, what's the name for November in your language? In Croatian, it's literally the cold month. So, makes sense. I don't know why my opponent is already 4 minutes down on the clock on move 6 in a very simple position. I mean, it's better to play bishop e2 here than to waste 4 minutes. But okay, I will welcome that. There's a tournament game I played in the finals of the Croatian Cup that went bishop c4, bishop f5, castles, e6, rook e1. Okay, plays bishop c4. Let's go bishop f5. And I fell for h3, g4. And I basically lost the game on move 10. That was a traumatic experience. Once again, I could not go bishop g4 because bishop f7, king f7, knight e5 won the bishop back and the f7 pawn. So now if white castles, e6, rook e1, bishop e7, or bishop d6, my opponent in that game played h3 and I castled carelessly, falling victim to g4, where I don't have a way to save my bishop, and I'm forced to recapture f takes g6 once the bishop gets to g6, and I basically lose the game because e6 falls. So let's see if my opponent does the same thing here. So basically, to avoid that, you have to go h6, so that on h3, g4, you have bishop h7, avoiding knight takes g6, f takes g6. The idea behind h3, g4 is that you play g5, h4, h5, gaining tempi on the knight and the bishop until the bishop is stuck on g6. Yeah. Okay, h3 still has not been played. So g4 isn't a threat. So bishop e7 here, or bishop d6. The only question is, if I go bishop d6, is there d5? And I think there is, so I have to go bishop e7. Now if h3, I have to go h6. This is the exact position where I blundered in the cup game. So my opponent played h3, I castled, and I was losing due to g4, bishop g6, g5, or h4, knight somewhere, and knight takes g6 after h6. Now, of course, the same thing doesn't work yet because... Okay, this is a strange move. I could throw in h6 here. Am I hanging d5? So h6, bishop f6, d5, cd5, bishop d5, queen d5 would lose the queen. So I don't really have h6 yet, but I can castle first and then play h6. That seems reasonable. I just need to avoid the pin with d5. Now I have a good position. I mean, this is just... all my pieces are good. I don't think black should have an advantage, but white shouldn't have one either, because all of my pieces are good. Queen e2. Oh, so the threat is knight h4, bishop g6, knight g6, hg6, bishop e6, f e6, queen e6, check, rook f7, but my bishop isn't hanging. So I don't think that works. I'm gonna play h6 nevertheless. Wait a minute, h6, bishop f6, bishop f6. That seems okay. h6, knight h4, hg5, knight f5, ef5, queen e7, rook e7. I don't like that. h6, knight h4, bishop h7. Bishop e6. Yeah, okay, I can play h6. Seems okay. I need to get my bishop away from e7 so that bishop e6 is never hanging. Also on knight h4 now, I can throw in bishop g4. Okay, now there's no knight h4. That means there's no bishop e6. But what do? I want to go rook e8 to defend my bishop and to defend e6. I don't think I should consider bishop g4. Doesn't make sense. Although it does attack the d pawn. But my opponent just goes rook a1. Okay, rook e8 it is. Defending my bishop. Now my queen is free to move. If knight e5, I think I have to go knight d5. To defend e6 and f7. Okay. How do I make progress here? I mean, I want to put my queen somewhere good, but c7 seems bad. Because of bishop g3. If queen b6, my opponent can just go bishop b3 or c3. Also, if queen b6, there's knight e5, bishop f6, knight d7. So my candidate moves are queen b6 and knight d5. I don't like queen b6. Okay, I'm gonna go knight d5. If the bishops get traded, my knight has the f4 square. Okay. There's no knight h4. So can I just go bishop f6? My opponent goes knight e5. Okay, bishop f6. Bishop f6 improves my bishop. I know that knight e5 is coming, but there isn't much I can do. I'm playing the Caro-Kann, so knight e5 is always an option. And the d7 square is weak. So what I want to do is, if I'm allowed, I want to go e5. Now, how do I challenge this knight? Can I go knight e7, knight g6? That seems sensible. Not that I like my knight on g6, but somehow I have to play e5 or c5, but I don't see it happening just yet. So maybe queen e7, rook d8. That also doesn't seem too good. Okay, I'm getting low on time again. I'm gonna go knight e7. Wait, am I hanging knight f7? Knight e7, knight f7, king f7, bishop e6, bishop e6. Yes, I am. Scary, scary. Okay, queen e7. I cannot allow knight takes f7. Then I'll go rook d8. Then maybe I'll go queen f8. But I need to defend the d7 square. My opponent wants to go c4. That's fine. I'll go knight b6, knight d7 if my opponent plays c4. That way I'm playing against d5. Very equal position and very tense. It's very hard to improve our pieces. I mean, my opponent's bishops look perfect, the knight looks perfect, the rooks and the queen look optimal as well. So I would say white has slightly better pieces with a bit more scope, but black's pieces aren't bad either. I mean, name a bad piece. The knight on d5 is good, the rooks are good, the queen is okay. The bishops are good. Bishop g5 could be an interesting move, but I don't really see a point. I mean, f4 cannot be played. The only reason for bishop g5 to be interesting is if the f pawn moves to f3, let's say, which makes no sense. I never want to take on e5. So what do? I'm playing for c5 now. But if I go c5, my opponent's going to go c4. And then d5 is coming because my pawn isn't on c6 yet. So if I'm going to play c5, I should play knight b6 first. Okay, that kind of helps me with my decision. I was expecting this, but I don't think it's that good. It's the only way to make progress, and it prevents c5 because of d5. But then again, I could just go knight d7, and I don't see... My queen is defended on e7, so I can always take ed5. Wow! Ah, I see. My opponent wants to play knight c4. Interesting. So I'm going to just snap that knight off now, because my opponent wants to go knight c4, knight d6. So if knight d5, then knight c4. And I can no longer trade. So if bishop e5, knight d5, that seems more promising. But then bishop d6. What's that position like? Do I want a bishop on d6 or a knight on d6? I think a bishop. So bishop e5, knight d5, bishop d6. Okay, I'm taking. I don't want a knight on d6. That seems too scary. My opponent needs to take with the bishop because of the d6 square. But in that case, I can also consider playing knight c8, however ugly that may look. So knight d5 or knight c8? Man, I don't like knight c8. Yeah, I'm not playing knight c8. Yeah, I'm not playing knight c8. I'm playing knight d5. I'm playing actively. The bishop's gonna sit on d6, but I mean, what can I do? It's better than having a knight on d6. That's for sure. At least I have a good piece too. The knight on d5 is excellent. I can also consider sacking the exchange. That's not out of the question at all. I'm not sure it's good, but it's definitely an option. If bishop d6, I have queen g5, knight f4. At least. And then maybe even knight h3 if my opponent plays something like, I don't know, queen f3. A very interesting game. This is actually quite thematic for the types of positions I get in tournament games. And this decision to take on e5 is something we will be checking with the engine after the game. Because I'm not sure. I mean, allowing a knight on d6 seems dreadful. Absolutely. So what if I go queen g5 now? Queen g5, maybe g4? Knight f4. Oh, if g4, there's knight f4. Queen g5. I like queen g5 because it sets up a threat and gets away from the tempo. This was the move I was going to play anyway. h3 just creates a target. Okay, so I think I should prevent g4. So should I go h5? I think I am going h5. I don't want to allow h4. Oh, sorry, g4. My opponent wants to play bishop somewhere and then b4, b5. That's understandable. Probably bishop c2. Or maybe even bishop takes d5. Can I go f6, king f7, rook g8 and push my g-pawn? I'm gonna prepare that with h4. I'm gonna gain some space here, blockade the h-pawn, create a fixed target, and I want to see if my opponent plays bishop d5 or bishop c2. If bishop c2, then I don't have f6. If bishop d5, then bishop f4 is an idea. Oh, what? I have not expected this. Yeah, okay, bishop c2 wasn't an option. My opponent wants to go bishop d3. What am I saying? So my opponent wants to go bishop d3 and b4, b5. I think I want my knight on f5, but I will be running into bishop f4 if I play knight e7. Can I play f6, bishop d6, rook d6, c d6, knight f4? My opponent can also go bishop h2 on f6. And then after bishop d3, my king is naked. Also on f6 there is bishop d5, rook d5, bishop f4. And I don't like that. So I'm gonna start doubling my rooks, because that prepares for b4, b5, and my knight moving away to e7 and g6 later. Okay, my opponent isn't even playing for that. Okay, I'm gonna throw in a6 to make sure another tempo has to be wasted on rook b1. My opponent didn't play bishop d3. That's good. So now I'm hoping I can play rook e d8 followed by f6. A tempo is gonna have to be wasted on queen b3 maybe, or something like that, because rook b1 hangs the rook. But queen b3, let's say rook e d8, a4, knight b4, queen b4, bishop h3. Oh, there's bishop f1. Yeah, there's bishop f1. But on queen b3, there's also knight f4. Okay, I don't get rook a1, so I'll just play rook d8. If bishop d6, I'm just gonna take it and go knight f4. Okay, my opponent wants to go rook d2, rook b2 and b4. Sorry, a4. My opponent wants to go a4. What do I do? Is it time for knight e7? Okay, let's play knight e7. I know that that allows a4 in a single move, but at least my opponent will have wasted the tempo playing rook a1, rook a2. And I want to get my knight to f4, so I'm hoping... Wow, okay. Well, I'm gonna take that. And I'm gonna go bishop e4, blockading. Now my knight has f5. Okay. I want to save my e-pawn and I want to go f6. Get rid of this bishop. Oh, my bishop is trapped. Why did I do that? Yeah, I'm gonna have to... Oh no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. No, it's not fine. Maybe it is fine. What did I just do? I hung e4. I just hung e4. Okay, so I have to play. I have to play f5. Because I hung e4. I trapped my own bishop and achieved nothing. And I'm getting into time trouble. Okay, I have to save my pawn and my rook. Now I'm playing for e5. Oh, that's a good move. I have no way to defend the h5 square, which means I'm gonna lose my h4 pawn. So I have to complicate things. Let's go. I know that I'm losing my pawn, but there isn't much I can do. Doesn't seem completely hopeless. It seems close to hopeless. Yeah, now it's getting worse. Okay, let's decline. When you're down material, you trade pawns, you keep the pieces on the board. That's a very good rule to follow. It's much easier to draw with rooks on the board. If we trade rooks, it's just two bishops versus knight and bishop, and my pieces are awkward. At least now with bishop f3 I can split my opponent's pawns. Sit my knight on d5, maybe I stand a chance. I'm not winning with rook d6 because my opponent's queening on knight f4. So rook d6, c d6, knight f4, d7, and I resign. That's unfortunate. But let's go knight e7. Sit the knight on d5. No, I just hung bishop e8. I hung bishop e8. No, idiot. Why did I do that? I hung bishop e8. No. Bishop e8 and I'm resigning. No, the streak is over. Oof. 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 I'm very happy to see this. Okay, let's get my king closer. Now I actually stand a chance. Oof, my opponent didn't see bishop e8. It would have been game over straight away. Oh, what? Okay, I'm resigning. He should have gone bishop e8 and I would have resigned anyway. What? how did I... Okay. The point I was trying to make is here. You go bishop e8 and I resign. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at the game. So, yeah, I just want to show you the position in which I blundered. So on h3, castles, g4. Wait, is this the position? Yes, it is. Wait, maybe it isn't. What? Oh, no, no, excuse me. The knight was on e5 first. So, yeah, sorry, the knight e5 instead of h3. So here and g4. And on bishop g6, h4. And the threat is here, so I have to go h6 and then takes, and takes. Okay, so bishop g5. Okay, let's see. I mean, as expected, this is equal. The only thing... Wait, this is a mistake? The engine takes on e5. Okay, bishop e5 is good. I'm happy to see that. Because otherwise, like if I play knight d5, then knight c4. And the position is hopeless. Because the knight's just coming to d6. So bishop e5, knight d5, queen g5, queen f3. It all seems fine. Well, where did I go wrong? Okay, I should have gone knight d5 instead of bishop d5. That makes sense, but I don't think... Yeah, now I have to play f5 because my opponent's just threatening to go e4. Yeah, now it started to go wrong. Why would I go rook f8 instead? Okay, still fine, still fine. Bishop f7 was better, but still fine. Takes, 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 takes. Okay, rook d7 is the losing move, it seems. Yeah, and then... Wait, why not bishop e8? Oh, but the bishop isn't hanging. What am I saying? But rook e4? Oh, okay, yeah. Now the bishop. The same idea, but just a safe square. Yeah, okay. Wait, this was so lost? Yeah, I don't have a way to challenge the king. It's just, it's all losing. Because my opponent's playing rook f2 next. So if, for example, if g5, then rook f2. And what do I do? The rook is just infiltrating. Yeah, this is a hopeless endgame anyway. Okay, so here it was fine. So I go... Okay, so takes, takes. Yeah, now it's fine because it's opposite colored bishops and my opponent doesn't have a way to challenge my bishop easily. My opponent had 97% accuracy, 1 inaccuracy. What was their inaccuracy? Bishop takes h4. Why? That doesn't seem inaccurate. That seems fine. But okay, I mean, yeah. He played a pretty good game. I think I played a really good game up until rook d7 apparently. Even though I lost the pawn, it was fine. So yeah, congratulations to my opponent. Tough game. Yeah, the streak is over. No. Okay, why do I only win 2 or 3 or 4 points when I win a game and I lose 8 when I lose? Ugh. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.